The cargo bay doors of the Coalition vessel Infinite reach-hissed open, revealing the barren wasteland below. Commander Veldats, a towering insectoid creche, gestured with three of his chitinous limbs toward the small figure huddled against the bulkhead. Out! Now! 6-year-old Park Hannah didn't move. Her dark eyes, red-rimmed from crying, stared at the orange haze sky beyond the ship. The air shimmered with heat and something else, radiation that made the scanner screech warnings. Please, she whispered in broken galactic common. I'll be good. I won't eat much. The crystalline Valari science officer, Prism of Dawn, flickered with uncomfortable purple hues. Commander, perhaps. Regulations are clear, Veldats interrupted. Contamination Protocol 7 Alpha. She's been exposed to the radiation field for 72 hours. Bringing her aboard risks the entire crew. He turned to Hannah, his multifaceted eyes reflecting no mercy. You should have died with your colony ship. Human, consider this extra time a gift. Hannah's parents had died when the colony vessel New Soul crashed on this world 3 years ago. She had been only 4 years old then, barely old enough to understand what death meant. The Coalition had said the rescue was too expensive. Humans were common in the galaxy. Their lives were short. Their bodies were weak. Nobody wanted to spend money saving them. When a small crew finally came to take parts from the broken ship, they found Hannah alive in a sleeping pod. She was the only one who survived out of 200 people. Now they were leaving her here to die alone. Please. Hannah stumbled forward as 2 robot drones pushed her toward the exit ramp. I don't want to be alone. Veldats dropped the sealed container at her feet. 1 week of food. A distress beacon. If another ship passes through this area... He didn't finish his sentence. They both knew no one came to Quarantine Zone 7. This planet was marked as dead. No one wanted anything from a dead world. The ramp lowered down. Hannah's small hands grabbed the container as the drones forced her down onto the cracked, rust-colored ground. Wind howled across the empty land, carrying dust that tasted like metal and sadness. Mommy said humans are survivors. Hannah called up to them, her voice small but strong. She said we never give up. Veldats's mouth parts clicked together, the way his species laughed when something wasn't funny. Your mother was wrong, child. Humans are simply too stubborn to know when they're already dead. The ramp pulled back up. The engines made a loud humming sound, and the infinite reach lifted into the poisoned sky. Hannah watched until it became a tiny silver dot, then nothing at all. She was alone on a dead world. The ruins of the New Soul sat half-buried in a big crater 2 kilometers away. Its broken metal frame stuck out from the ground like the bones of some huge dead animal. Hannah had been born on that ship. She took her first steps in its halls. Now it would be the place where she died. She started walking. The sun was a bloated red giant that this world circled too closely. It beat down without mercy. Her old spacesuit's cooling system made whining sounds as it tried to keep her from overheating. The distress beacon in her pocket felt heavier with each step. It was a false promise of rescue that would never come. When night fell, she reached the wreck. The huge hole in the hull that had killed everyone still gaped open like a wound that would never heal. Hannah climbed through familiar hallways now filled with dust and twisted metal. She found her family's room. The door hung crooked, but it still opened. Inside, everything looked the same as she remembered. Her father's books about engineering lay scattered across the desk. Her mother's favorite scarf still hung over a chair. The blue fabric was faded but still there. Hannah's own drawings covered one wall. Simple pictures of Earth from her parents' stories. Green trees, blue oceans, a yellow sun. She had never seen Earth. She never would. Hannah curled up on the floor with the food container held tight to her chest. The distress beacon blinked its useless red light. Outside, the wind screamed across the wasteland. Something deep underground answered with a rumble that shook dust from the ceiling. She closed her eyes and remembered her mother's voice. Humans are survivors, baby. We adapt. We overcome. Remember that. The next day, Hannah ate one small meal. She found that the water machine in the wreck still worked a little bit. It made bitter water, but she could drink it. She walked through the ship, making a map in her mind of the safe places and the dangerous places where too much radiation leaked through. In the cargo area, she found the plant growing lab. Everything was dead. The plants had dried up years ago, but some of the machines still worked. If she had seeds, if she had time, if she had hope, maybe she could grow food, but she didn't have any of those things. On the third day, the ground started shaking more often. At first, Hannah thought it was just the ship settling deeper into the crater, but that didn't make sense. The wreck had been here for 3 years. These shakes felt different. They felt like something was doing it on purpose, like something huge was moving under the ground. Hannah stood at the edge of the crater, staring out at the empty wasteland. The Coalition had said this world was dead after some terraforming project went very wrong 50 years ago. Whatever happened had left the air toxic, the ground radioactive, and all the oceans dried up. Yet something had drawn the new soul here. Her parents had told her they followed a distress call from a colony. But that colony had been dead for a long time. What if they were wrong? What if something still lived here, deep below the surface? On the fourth night, Hannah woke up to silence. That was wrong. The wind never stopped on this world. It howled all the time, day and night, like the planet itself was crying. But now there was nothing, just silence. That was wrong. The wind never stopped on this world. It howled all the time, day and night, like the planet itself was crying. But now there was nothing, just silence. She crept to the hole in the ship's hull and looked out into the darkness. The red sun had set hours ago. The night was completely black, except for stars scattered across the sky like tiny pieces of ice. Then she saw a glow, deep in the crater. Something pulsed with orange-red light. It looked like a heartbeat you could see. The light grew brighter. The ground began to shake, not in bursts, but in rhythm, like footsteps, each one closer than the last. Something was walking through the wasteland, something massive. Hannah's breath caught in her throat. She should hide. She should run deeper into the wreck and seal herself in the safest room. But she didn't. She was tired of hiding, tired of being afraid. If death was coming, let it come. At least she wouldn't be alone anymore. The footsteps stopped just beyond the crater's edge. For a long moment, nothing happened. Then a shape rose against the stars, blocking them out. It was massive beyond anything Hannah could imagine. The orange-red glow came from inside its body, visible through gaps and scales that looked like polished black glass. Morning came with warmth Hannah had never known. She woke wrapped in the dragon's wing, the membrane filtering the harsh red sunlight into something gentle and golden. The dragon's eyes opened, glowing like embers in a forge. Asterisk, you survived the night. Strong, for one so small. Asterisk. What are you? Hannah whispered, reaching out to touch the obsidian scales. They were warm, smooth, thrumming with contained energy. Images flooded her mind, not words, but visions. A galaxy young and burning. Creatures like this one soaring between stars, shaping world with thought and will. Then war, betrayal, extinction. Asterisk, I am Darvek, last of the firstborn. We shaped the stars before your coalition existed. They feared us, hunted us. I slept here, beneath the stone, for 10,000 years. Asterisk, why did you wake up? Asterisk, your ship, your presence. You carry something within you, child of Earth, something that calls to the old energies. Asterisk. Darvek lowered his massive head, so Hannah could see a reflection in his eye. She looked so tiny, so fragile, so human, but in the dragon's gaze, she saw something else. She saw potential. Over the next few days, Darvek taught her how to survive the wasteland. He showed her underground springs where clean water flowed beneath the radioactive surface. He led her to deep caverns where strange mushrooms grew, glowing with soft blue light. They were safe to eat and actually tasted good. How do you know all this? Hannah asked, munching on a handful of the glowing mushrooms. They tasted like earth and something sweet she couldn't name. Asterisk, I dreamed while I slept. My mind touched every stone, every drop of water on this world. I know it as I know myself. Asterisk. The coalition said nothing could live here. Tharvek's mental voice carried something like laughter. Asters, the coalition knows very little. They see only surfaces. But you humans, asterisk, we're weak, Hannah said bitterly, repeating what she had heard her entire life from every alien species. Short-lived, fragile. No, the dragon's correction came firm and certain. Asterisk, you adapt. You endure. You burn briefly, but very brightly. Do you know why you survived the radiation that would kill others? Asterisk. Hannah shook her head. Asterisk, your species absorbs it. Takes it in. Not well, not yet, but the ability exists. In 10,000 years, I have never met another species with this gift. Asterisk. What does that mean? It means, little Park Hannah, that you can learn what I have to teach. The lessons began that very day. Tharvek taught her to feel the energy flowing through the world. Radiation, heat, magnetic fields, even the tiny particles that made up reality itself. At first, Hannah felt nothing, but the dragon was patient. Asters, your ancestors survived ice ages, diseases, wars that should have ended your species. That stubbornness lives in your blood. Use it. Asterisk. Weeks passed. Hannah sat in meditation while Tharvek's mind guided hers, showing her how to sense the invisible forces all around. Slowly, like learning to see in the dark, her awareness expanded. She felt the radiation first, not as danger, but as warmth, as light, as energy waiting to be used. Then the deeper currents, the flows of power through stone and air. One evening, as the red sun set, Hannah held out her hand and felt the radiation gather there. It glowed softly, pale blue against her palm. Tharvek rumbled with approval. Asterisk, yes. Channel it. Shape it. You have taken the first step on a path no human has walked before. Asterisk. Why are you helping me? Hannah asked, letting the energy fade away. You could leave. Go anywhere in the galaxy. The dragon was quiet for a long time. Asterisk, I am old, child. Older than your species' written history. I have been alone for so long that I forgot what purpose felt like. But you remind me that even in a dying universe, new things can grow. You are my student. My legacy. Perhaps my redemption. Asterisk. Hannah climbed onto Tharvek's foreleg, settling against his chest where she could feel the ancient heart beating like a slow drum. Then I'll make you proud. Asterisk, you already have. Little one, you survived when they abandoned you. That alone is worthy of pride. Asterisk. The training continued day after day. Tharvek explained that the firstborn had understood something the younger races forgot. Consciousness and energy were connected. Thought could shape reality if you knew how to listen, how to merge with the basic forces of the universe. The coalition doesn't know any of this. Asterisk, they forgot. Or maybe they never knew. When my kind vanished, much knowledge vanished with us. The younger races built their civilization on ruins they didn't understand. Asterisk. 3 months after the coalition left her to die, Park Hannah stood atop the crater's rim. She raised her hands toward the sky and channeled radiation into pure light that blazed like a small star. Tharvek watched with pride deep in ocean trenches. But the lessons weren't just about power. Tharvek taught her about the galaxy as it used to be, when dragons flew freely between worlds. He showed her through mental images how his kind had tried to guide younger species, to help them grow. What went wrong? Hannah asked one night, as they sat under alien stars. Asterisk, fear. We were powerful, and power frightens those who lack it. Some of my kind grew proud, viewing younger species as lesser beings. Others tried to guide with gentle hands. But guidance can feel like control. Protection can feel like prison. Asterisk. Were you one of the proud ones? Asterisk, I was young. Foolish. I believed we had the right to shape the galaxy as we saw fit. By the time I understood that every species must make its own path, the wars had already begun. Asterisk. Hannah saw it through his memories. Dragons falling from the sky, their light going out forever, worlds burning. A coalition fleet, united for once in fear and hatred, hunting the firstborn until none remained. Asterisk, I fled here, wounded, broken. I chose to sleep rather than watch the universe continue without my kind. Asterisk, but you woke up for me. Asterisk, I woke because something impossible happened. A human child, alone on a dead world, refused to die. That stubbornness, that defiance, it called to me. It reminded me why I once loved this universe. Asterisk. Their bond deepened beyond teacher and student. Darvek became the father Hannah had lost. She became the hope he had abandoned. They shared stories. His were about a galaxy young and wild. Hers were about Earth's blue skies that she had only seen in pictures. My mother used to sing me a song, Hannah said one night, about a child who fell from the moon and was raised by tigers. Sing it for me. Hannah's voice, small and clear, rose into the darkness. The words were Korean, ancient and beautiful. Darvek didn't understand the language, but he understood the meaning. Loneliness transformed into belonging. Fear transformed into strength. When she finished, the dragon hummed a melody of his own. No words, just pure sound that vibrated through stone and bone. A song older than human civilization. They sat together beneath alien stars, two lonely beings who had found each other across impossible odds. As the weeks turned into months, Hannah grew stronger, not just in body, though the dragon's teaching helped her thrive on this harsh world. She grew stronger in spirit and in power. Each day brought new lessons, new challenges, new understanding. She learned to channel energy not just for light, but for healing small wounds, for creating shields of force, for sensing life in the deep soil. 6 months passed like a dream made of fire and stone. Hannah grew stronger, not just in body, though the dragon's guidance taught her to thrive on this harsh world, but in spirit and power. Each day brought new lessons, new challenges, new understanding. Feel the rhythm beneath your feet, Darvek instructed one morning. Asterisk, every world has a heartbeat. Listen, asterisk. Hannah closed her eyes, bare feet planted on sun-warmed rock. At first, nothing. Then, gradually, a pulse. Deep, slow, the planet's core, still molten despite the dead surface. I feel it. Asterisk, good. Now match your breath to its rhythm. Become part of the world, not separate from it. Asterisk. These were the ancient techniques. Darvek explained. The firstborn had understood that consciousness and energy were inseparable. Thought could shape reality if one knew how to listen, how to merge with the fundamental forces. The coalition doesn't know any of this. Asterisk, they forgot, or perhaps never knew. When my kind vanished, much knowledge vanished with us. The younger races built their civilization on ruins they didn't understand. Asterisk. One evening, Hannah asked a question that had been bothering her for weeks. Why do they hunt you? The dragons. Darvek's massive form seemed to shrink somehow, to grow heavy with old sadness. Asterisk, fear. We were powerful, and power frightens those who lack it. Some of my kind grew arrogant, viewing younger species as lesser beings. Others tried to guide, to teach. But guidance can feel like control. Protection can feel like being trapped. Asterisk. Were you one of the arrogant ones? Asterisk, I was young. Foolish. I believed we had the right to shape the galaxy as we wanted. By the time I understood that every species must make its own path, the wars had already begun. Asterisk. Images flooded Hannah's mind. Dragons falling from the sky, their light going out forever. Worlds burning. A coalition fleet, united for once in fear and hatred, hunting the firstborn until none remained. Asterisk, I fled here, wounded, broken. I chose to sleep rather than watch the universe continue without my kind. Asterisk, but you woke up for me. Asterisk, I woke because something impossible happened. A human child, alone on a dead world, refused to die. That stubbornness, that defiance, it called to me. It reminded me of why I once loved this universe. Asterisk. Hannah wrapped her arms around Darvek's massive claw. It was like hugging a warm boulder. I'm glad you woke up. I'm glad I'm not alone. Asterisk, nor am I a little spark. Nor am I asterisk. Their bond deepened beyond teacher and student. Darvek became the father Hannah had lost, and she became the hope he had abandoned. They shared stories every night. His were about a galaxy young and wild, when stars were being born and worlds were fresh. Hers were about Earth's blue skies that she had only seen in pictures her parents showed her. My mother used to sing me a song. Hannah said one night, stars wheeling overhead in patterns she was learning to recognize, about a child who fell from the moon and was raised by tigers. Sing it for me. Hannah's voice, small and clear, rose into the darkness. The words were Korean, ancient and beautiful. Tharvek didn't understand the language, but he understood the meaning through their mental connection. Loneliness transformed into belonging. Fear transformed into strength. When she finished, the dragon hummed a melody of his own. No words, just pure sound that vibrated through stone and bone, a song older than human civilization. It spoke of stars being born, of worlds taking shape, of the first consciousness awakening in the void. They sat together beneath alien stars, sharing their loneliness until it became something else, something like family. The training grew more intense as Hannah's abilities expanded. She learned to channel energy not just for light, but for healing. When she scraped her knee climbing rocks, she could speed the healing by directing energy to the wound. She learned to create shields of force that could deflect falling debris. She learned to sense life in all its forms. The stubborn lichens clinging to rocks, the microbes in the deep soil, even Narvek's vast consciousness. "Am I becoming like you?" she asked one day, watching energy dance between her fingers. Asterisk no. You are becoming yourself. The first dragon-touched human. Something new. Something the galaxy has never seen. Asterisk. One morning, Tharvek took her deep underground, to caverns that glowed with strange crystals. What is this place? Asterisk, the heart of the world, where energy flows strongest. Here, you will learn the final lesson. Asterisk. Final lesson? How to call the storm. Tharvek showed her how to reach out with her mind, to touch the radiation that permeated everything on this world and to pull it together. Not just a little, like she had been doing. All of it. Every particle, every wave, every quantum of energy within reach. It took 3 days of practice. On the 4th day, Hannah stood in the center of the crystal cavern, eyes closed, breathing matched to the planet's heartbeat. She reached out with her consciousness, touching the energy all around. Then she pulled. Light exploded through the cavern. Every crystal blazed like a sun. Energy swirled around Hannah in a visible tornado of power. Her feet, lifted off the ground as the forces she commanded pushed against gravity itself. For 10 seconds, she held it. Then she let go, dropping back to the stone floor, exhausted but triumphant. Tharvek's pride washed over her like warm water. Asterisk magnificent. You learn in months what took my kind years. Asterisk. Is it because I'm human? Asterisk partly. Your species adapts faster than any I have known, but also because you have nothing to unlearn. The Coalition taught you to be small, to be weak, to accept limits. I taught you that there are no limits except those you create. Asterisk. As the months passed, Hannah transformed. The frightened child who had been abandoned was gone. In her place stood someone new, still young, still learning, but no longer afraid. She moved with confidence. She spoke with certainty. She commanded power that should have been impossible for someone so small. One evening, as the red sun set, Hannah asked a question that had been growing in her mind. Tharvek, why are we hiding here? Why don't we go out into the galaxy? Asterisk, because the galaxy feared my kind once. They hunted us to extinction. If they see me now, asterisk, they'll be afraid, Hannah finished. But what if we showed them there's nothing to fear? What if we showed them that dragons and humans could work together? Asterisk, they abandoned you. Little one, they left you here to die. Why would you want to help them? Asterisk, because there are others like me, other humans being treated badly, being told they're weak and worthless. If we can change that. She looked up at her teacher, her friend, her family. Isn't that worth trying? Tharvek was quiet for a long time. Then his mental voice came, soft but filled with something like wonder. Asterisk, you sound like a dragon, child. Proud, defiant, ready to change the galaxy through pure force of will. Asterisk, you taught me well. Asterisk, that I did. Very well. When they come, show them no fear. Show them what humanity becomes when pushed to the edge. not broken, but forged stronger. Asterisk. Hannah nodded, looking out at the wasteland that had become her home, her school, her proving ground. When do you think they'll come? Asterisk soon. Your beacon of light was visible from orbit. Even now, Coalition sensors are trying to understand what they saw. They will send ships to investigate. Asterisk. Good. Hannah raised her hand, and energy danced across her palm, blue and beautiful and powerful. The Coalition fleet arrived 3 weeks later. 17 warships dropped from faster than light. Weapons arrays already glowing hot. The flagship, Eternal Vigil, took position directly above the crater. Its commander, a crystalline Valari named Shard of Justice, broadcast on all frequencies. Attention, unknown entity. You have violated Quarantine Zone 7. Power down immediately or be destroyed. Hannah stood atop the crater's rim, Darvek's massive form coiled behind her. She tapped the salvage communicator on her wrist. This is Park Hannah of the colony ship New Soul. You left me here to die 6 months ago. Funny how you come running when you see something you don't understand. Silence on the channel. Then, impossible. The human child is dead. Identify yourself immediately. I told you, I'm Park Hannah, and I'm very much alive. Darvek's mental voice touched hers. Ready? Ready. The dragon uncoiled, rising to his full height. Even the smallest warships looked like toys compared to his form. His scales blazed with internal fire, and his wings spread wide enough to cast shadows over half the crater. The fleet's weapons charged. Targeting systems locked on. Unknown creature, stand down. Final warning. Hannah raised her hand, and energy danced between her fingers. Visible, controlled, impossible for a human child. No, you stand down. Or learn what happens when you threaten a dragon and his student. 3 ships opened fire. Darvek moved with speed that seemed impossible for something so large. Energy beams bent around him, redirected by fields of force that shimmered in the air. He inhaled deeply, and when he exhaled, a wave of power swept across the fleet. Weapon systems died. Engines sputtered. The 3 attacking ships went dark, tumbling in orbit until their backup systems kicked in. Next time, Hannah called calmly. You won't get a warning. The fleet held position, frozen by shock and fear. Finally, Shard of Justice's voice returned, trembling despite their species' usual crystal calm. Dragons are extinct. This is impossible. You keep using that word, Hannah said. Humans were supposed to die here too. Maybe you're impossible just means you don't understand what's real. Well said, little spark. Transport shuttles launched from a flagship, diplomatic vessels, white and gold, bearing the Coalition's 12-species symbol. They landed at the crater's base, and a group emerged. Hannah recognized the insectoid form of Commander Veldats among them. She walked down to meet them, Darvek following at a distance that still made the entire group look tiny. Her old spacesuit was long gone. She wore clothes she had made from ship fabric, and her skin was sun-darkened for months under the harsh red star. Energy still flickered around her hands like tiny lightning. Veldats' mouth parts clicked nervously. Child, you survived. No thanks to you. We followed protocol. The radiation made me stronger. Hannah let the energy flare brighter. Turns out humans process it differently. You would have known that if you bothered to study us instead of treating us like we're worthless. Shard of Justice stepped forward, their crystalline bodies splitting the red sunlight into rainbow patterns. Park Hannah, the Coalition Council has called an emergency meeting. Your companion has been identified from ancient records. This is a situation of the highest importance. Situation? Hannah laughed, but it wasn't a happy sound. You hunted his kind until they were all dead. That's not a situation. That's you facing what you did. Darvek's voice boomed, speaking aloud for the first time in their presence. The words were in the ancient tongue, but Hannah translated for the group using their mental connection. I am Darvek, last of the firstborn. I was ancient when your civilizations were young. I have slept for 10,000 years. I woke to find this child, this human, abandoned to die. She survived. She learned. She became what none of you expected. He lowered his massive head to Hannah's level. She is my student, my family. Touch her, threaten her, and you will learn why your ancestors feared us. The group exchanged panicked glances. Finally, Shard of Justice spoke. What do you want? Hannah had prepared for this moment. She had spent weeks thinking, planning, talking with Arvek. Now her voice rang clear and strong. Humanity gets full coalition citizenship, not second-class status. Full rights, full representation, full protection under coalition law. That's a matter for the Council. Then we'll wait. But while we wait, I'll keep sending light beams into space. Every passing ship will see. Every species will ask questions. How long before they realize a dragon lives? How long before panic spreads? Veldat stepped forward. You would threaten the entire galaxy for your species? You left a child alone on a dead world to save yourselves trouble. Yes, I would threaten anything to make sure that never happens again. Tharvek rumbled agreement. The child speaks truth. I have watched from my sleep, touching the dreams of countless beings. Humanity is dismissed, used, treated as inferior, yet they survive. They adapt. They endure. These are the marks of a species worthy of respect. If you refuse, Hannah continued, we stay here. Tharvek teaches me everything he knows. In a generation, there will be others like me. Dragon-touch humans, with power you can't imagine. We'll create our own civilization, beyond your control. And if we agree? Shard of Justice asked carefully. Then the dragons return. Not as conquerors, but as teachers. Humanity becomes their students, their voice in the galaxy. We help settle disputes. We share the ancient knowledge. We become something new, a bridge between the firstborn and the younger races. The group talked quickly among themselves in bursts of their different languages. Finally, Shard of Justice turned back. The council will meet. You and Tharvek are invited to present your case. No promises, but you will be heard. Hannah looked up at her teacher, her friend, her family. What do you think? Asterisk, I think you are ready to change the galaxy, little spark. Let us go show them what an abandoned human becomes. Asterisk, she nodded to the group. We accept. Prepare your council. Park Hannah and Tharvek the firstborn are coming. A diplomatic transport landed nearby, much larger than the others. It had to be. Tharvek would barely fit. Hannah took one last look at the new soul, at the wasteland that had been her prison, and then her school. Thank you, she whispered to the dead world. It had tried to kill her, but instead it had made her stronger than she ever imagined possible. Then she climbed aboard the transport. Tharvek followed, folding his massive wings carefully to fit through the enlarged cargo door. The other delegates scrambled to get out of his way. As the transport lifted off, Hannah looked down at the crater one final time. 6 months ago, she had been a terrified child, alone and abandoned. Now she was something new, dragon-touched, powerful, ready to speak for every human who had ever been dismissed or used or left behind. The wasteland grew smaller below them until it was just a rust-colored on a dying world. But what had happened there? The bond formed, the power awakened, the purpose found. That would echo across the galaxy. The Coalition Council chamber orbited the capital world of Nexus Prime, a massive station where 12 species held equal seats. Now, for the first time in recorded history, a 13th seat had been added. Park Hannah sat there, 7 years old, flanked by holographic projectors that displayed Tharvek's image at a scale the chamber could accommodate. His true form waited outside, coiled around the station's outer ring, visible to every ship passing by. The council representatives stared, some with fear, some with curiosity, all with disbelief. Chancellor Vextrau, a gaseous being who spoke through modulated harmonics, opened the session. Park Hannah of Earth, Tharvek of the Firstborn, you have petitioned for humanity's elevation to full citizenship and the return of the dragons as a recognized power. This is unprecedented. So was abandoning a child on a dead world. Hannah replied calmly, yet here I am. Veldats, attending as a witness, shifted uncomfortably. Several representatives chittered or hummed disapproval. "Let us be clear," said Representative Colvan, "a massive armor chromoth. Your survival is impressive. Your abilities are concerning. But this does not justify reordering our entire civilization." Hannah stood, and energy crackled around her, not threatening, but bright enough for everyone to see. "Then let me show you why it does." She raised her hands, and a hologram appeared above the council floor. Images from her 6 months of training, pulling radiation into light, healing damaged tissue, channeling energy with precision that the Coalition's best scientists couldn't match. "Humans are considered weak," she said. "Short-lived, fragile, but you never studied us properly. You never saw our potential. We absorb radiation. We adapt faster than any species in the Coalition. Give us the tools, the knowledge, the respect we deserve, and we become this." The hologram showed her latest achievement, reconstructing a section of the new Sol S hull using pure energy, building metal atom by atom, something that should have required huge machines. "Impossible," breathed the Valari representative. "That requires computing power beyond any organic mind, not beyond human ability when taught by a dragon." Darvek's voice rumbled through the chamber. "The Firstborn understood what you have forgotten. Consciousness shapes reality. We will teach this, but only to those we choose." "And humanity is worthy?" Chancellor Vextral asked. "Park Hannah is worthy," Darvek corrected. "She faced death and chose to fight. She learned in 6 months what takes other species lifetimes. Yes, her people are worthy. They burn briefly, but they burn bright." Representative Kim Day, one of the few humans on the council, spoke quietly. "If we refuse this request, then we return to Quarantine Zone 7. Hannah said simply, "Darvek will teach me. I will teach others. In 1 generation, there will be hundreds like me. In 2 generations, thousands. We will build our own civilization, outside Coalition law, beyond Coalition control. Some of you fear dragons? Imagine fearing dragon-touch humans who have no reason to trust you." The silence was heavy and uncomfortable. Finally, Shard of Justice spoke. "What guarantees do we have? That dragons will not seek revenge? That humans will not misuse this power?" "No guarantees," Hannah admitted, "just as you gave me no guarantee when you abandoned me. But I offer something better: partnership. Humans become go-between for dragons and the Coalition. We help settle disputes. We share knowledge slowly, carefully, and in exchange you treat us as equals. The Dragon-Human Accord," Darvek added, "a formal treaty. Humanity gains full citizenship. The Firstborn return as teachers and judges, but bound by laws we help create. Neither side rules. Both sides benefit. And if conflict arise," asked Colvan, "then we solve them," Hannah said, "together. Isn't that what the Coalition is supposed to be? Species working together instead of alone." The vote took 3 hours of heated debate. Some species opposed strongly, fearing dragon return. Others saw opportunity, access to ancient knowledge, to powers thought lost forever. The humans on the council didn't vote, not wanting to seem biased. Finally, Chancellor Vextral called for the decision. 8 species voted yes. 2 voted no. 2 abstained. "The motion passes," Vextral announced. "Humanity is granted full Coalition citizenship, effective immediately. The Dragon-Human Accord is recognized. Let it be recorded that today, the galaxy changes." Hannah didn't cheer, didn't celebrate. She simply nodded, feeling the weight of what came next. Outside, Darvek's joy resonated through their bond. Asterisk, well done, little spark. Well done, asterisk. 20 years later, Commander Park Hannah stood on the bridge of the Firstborn's Legacy, a ship that combined Coalition technology with dragon-taught energy work. Around her, a crew of dragon-touched humans monitored systems with both computers and trained perception. "Status?" she asked. "Border dispute between the Kresh and Valari colonies is getting worse," reported Lee Mina, her second in command. "Both sides are asking for help." "Take us there. We'll handle it." The ship jumped to faster than light, its wake shimmering with barely contained energy. In the 20 years since the Accord, Everything had changed. Humanity had become the Coalition's peacekeepers, respected and sometimes feared. Dragon schools dotted empty worlds and dead moons, teaching humans and, slowly, other species the ancient arts. Tharvek had been joined by 3 other dragons, awakened from hidden places by news that the galaxy had changed. They were careful, these survivors, but hopeful. Young dragons, barely 10,000 years old, eager to see what their student had built. "Commander," Mina said softly, "do you ever think about the new soul? About what you went through?" Hannah gazed out at the stars rushing past. Every day, that abandoned child, alone on a dead world, she made me who I am. Sometimes I'm grateful to Veldats for leaving me there. Grateful? If he'd been kind, I'd been just another human on a Coalition ship, probably doing basic labor, invisible, dismissed. Instead, I met a dragon. I learned I could survive anything. I became proof that humanity doesn't break. We make ourselves stronger. She touched the window, and energy danced across her fingertips. A habit now, like breathing. The galaxy learned what happens when you abandon a human. We don't die quietly. We adapt. We overcome. We return stronger than anyone imagined. Outside, a dragon flew alongside the ship. Veldar, Tharvek's great-nephew, young and curious about these strange humans who spoke the old tongue and used the ancient powers. Approaching the dispute zone, the navigator announced, "Good. Let's go make peace. It's what we do now." The firstborn's legacy dropped from faster than light, and Park Hannah, once abandoned, once alone, once left to die, walked forward to shape the galaxy with dragon wisdom and human stubbornness. In the observation deck, a hologram flickered to life. Tharvek, ancient and proud, watching a student with joy 10,000 years deep. Asters fly far, little spark. Burn bright. Show them what we built together. Asterisk. And she did. The galaxy had learned its lesson. Humans were no longer dismissed, no longer exploited, no longer abandoned, because they had shown what they truly were, survivors who adapted, overcame, and transformed hardship into strength.